You are watching Tomorrowpictures.TV.
Don't come with that fro all messed up. Talk about you want some money. What are some of your biggest challenges?
Money. Biggest challenges, I mean, there's definitely a lot of challenges I've experienced. There's one, just being a trans athlete when very few people know trans people. You know, I am probably the only outwardly visible trans person a lot of the people in my boxing circles have met. So learning how to navigate that. I'm also going to have to go up against commissions that really don't have any rules specifically for trans people. And then there's just, you know, everyday life stuff, trying to work and hustle. You know, being a trans person of color, it's kind of harder to find jobs, so trying to work on my own while doing all these things. It was kind of the same issue as being a female athlete, was trying to get the funding to do the things you love. So sponsors.
Exactly. Look cute. Sit up straight.
Am I slouching?
Hey, you look fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Being that we were setting up medical clinics in different villages each day, I was working in triage and had the opportunity to hear what some of the complaints were. And of course, most people had worms, even to the point to where you could see worms crawling across their stomach or their arms, or, you know, or whatever. And also, you know, dysentery, just a lot of problems due to the lack of clean water. And what broke my heart the most was, you know, every little girl that came and sat down, all of these elementary school girls were saying that they had women's health issues like vaginal infections, and we knew that that only meant two things: that it was either due to abuse or just due to the unclean water that she was bathing with her mother who had this infection. So it was, you know, it's heartbreaking to know that all you can do is give them medication for the time being and send them on their way, and they're going to go back to the same conditions, whether if it's that they're being abused, and there's no systems in that country to protect women and children, so they just have to endure that, or, you know, the clean water situation. But, you know, again, despite all of this, you find such joyful spirits with the children. And one particularly struck me. I was reading a story on the compound where we were staying, which was through a ministry called Nehemiah Vision Ministries. And the pastor that started that program, his name is Pastor Pierre, and he was actually one of those children who grew up in one of those villages, running around with no clothes on and not knowing when he was going to eat next. But somehow, and he has an amazing story of how he overcame all of that. And he went to college, and he's been in the States, and he's worked with Billy Graham, and now through Campus Crusade for Christ has started this Nehemiah Vision Ministries compound in Haiti, which is really changing the lives of so many people in Haiti, because not only is it a church there, but they have a school which goes through the 6th grade, and they're soon expanding through the 8th grade, and hoping to in the future through the high school. And they also have the medical clinic, where anyone can come and pay $1 to be seen and get medication that they need. And it's amazing to think that he started as one of those kids in that village, and now he's having a huge impact.
You know, you've touched on this, but it's just a question. What, you changed branches, but you kept re-enlisting. Like, what, was it just your drive to always do better? Was it commitment to service? Tell me, like, when the pen hits the paper, to go for more.
Sure.
Tell me what goes through your mind.
As far as I want to understand your question.
Why did you keep going?
I think it's because it was instilled in me a long time ago, the innate desire of the word legacy. It was an innate desire. I've always said I've never seen a tombstone that said he had a big car or a big home. It was always about service, and that made a dent in me. I was fortunately one of those guys that believed in be all you can be. I believed in that. I believed the commercials, and as silly as it may sound, I bought into the idea that this is our time now. You know, our fathers and grandfathers, they served their time, and it defined their lives in a cutting moment. And so now it was our time, and that's what I kept thinking. And there wasn't a day go by in the 15 months that I was there, and the 7-8 months that I was there on the second tour, that I didn't think about that word legacy. So my answer was, the reason why I kept going was because of legacy.
And so for the children who attend the school there, they're asked, Americans, are asked to adopt or sponsor a child to help pay for their tuition there, which would include, school books that they need and supplies, as well as it provides a school uniform for them. Which may be the only clothing that they have, 2 school uniforms, and then they go back to the village and run around naked like the other children. It provides 1 warm meal for them a day, which again, they don't know when their next meal may be. And so I was reading a story of a 1st grade girl, 6 years old, named Neza Duza, and her parents wrote a bio of her, and they were talking about how they were uneducated and unskilled, and had been unable to find work lately. She has been in school for the 1st grade, but she was about to be kicked out of the school because they just couldn't pay anymore. They said they were trusting God to provide for them, and that just spoke to me and touched me. So I decided that I would, adopt or sponsor her and provide for her education, and I've committed to do that for as long as she can attend school there, whether it's through the 6th grade or middle school or high school, hopefully. She says she wants to be a nurse when she grows up. So she's been there on the campus or the compound and has experienced the health clinic, of course, and she wants to be able to now help people, the way that they have helped her. So, okay, take a break. Okay. That makes me emotional. Okay.
I understand. Do you have pictures of her?
Yes.
Okay, good. They're on the...
Yeah. And
You are watching Tomorrowpictures.TV.